world calls for them to stop, but Israel remains defiant in its expansion of settlements on occupied land.
Israel is not a democratic country. Israel is the occupying power.
Israel is not a democracy.
The Israeli apartheid system that expropriates land from the Palestinians
Undermines that very trust.
We do not accept the legitimacy of settlement activity.
The United States does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlements.
I have no problem being called a settler because I know I settled the land. And damn it, they're going to respect me, and they're going to respect my right and your right to live here in our land.
We're talking about human beings, about Jews, about life, about children who are living here, and we must make sure that their security and their future is promised.
Very few organizations support Yesha in Israel, and this is something that One Israel Fund is doing for the last 12, 13 years.
You know, there are people that really want to do good in the world, but they don't know how. The One Israel Fund has the connections and really knows where help is needed.
One Israel is that main tool connecting people today. Again, just like the name says, One Israel.
The building freeze, it's an unprecedented sanction, an anti-Semitic sanction applied by a Jewish government against Jewish citizens.
Observers say any settlement construction dilutes and renders meaningless talk of peace and eventual Palestinian statehood.
The settlement freeze is absolutely necessary.
We've put a cornerstone for a shul a day after Benjamin Netanyahu has announced the freezing order regarding the building, and he also declared that no public buildings will be stopped, yet that specific shul has been stopped.
There's always this fight with the Peace Now cameras on us all the time from satellites, you know, oh, they moved a caravan 10 inches inside of the community, you know, oh my God.
The settlements are simply Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. And if Jews can't live in Judea, which is where the term comes from, then where can we live?
For me, the heart of the Jewish state and the Jewish land is Gush Tzion, Judea and Samaria.
When we went looking for a place, a community, we weren't looking to move across the Green Line to make a statement. We were looking for a strong community, a good community, a community with values. And we found that. We found a family.
Aside from the thousands of years attachment to this land and Jews always living here, a good century before Israel was declared as an official state, Jews were coming here and building up institutions and paying taxes and planting trees and putting in all the institutions. We were ready for a state, not only before we had it, but way before the Holocaust happened.
It's really unprecedented and it's evil, because there's absolutely no limitations on any of our neighbors.
The largest danger right now is that we're seeing the possibility of our land being divided. That is the greatest danger to the people today.
These days it's a little bit wider, but beneath the surface, things are happening. Now that we're in Yehuda and Shomron, and the army is patrolling the area, that means it's harder for the terrorists to get organized for attacks in Israel. Once we're out of Yehuda and Shomron, the attacks will be in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and in the main cities of Israel.
Every third name in my cell phone is somebody that I love that's been either killed in action or murdered in the last 8 years. I don't accept this as something that you sit down and take. If there's an attack, we're not going to sit and wait for the army to come and rescue us. All of us are part of the army, and the army is part of us.
In these cases, every second counts. Every second can mean a life. We train different response teams from all of Yehuda and Shomron. They know every house and they can react the best to an attack in their community. One Israel Fund is important because they give the response teams training, and on the other side, they give the response team the equipment. You can be very trained, but if you get a bullet that hits you and you don't have a bulletproof vest, you're dead. That's why it's important both to train and both to use the equipment, and that's what One Israel Fund does. They have an important job. They save lives.
The bottom line on Susia is that we need security equipment to help our first response team. And after receiving negative responses from all the government agencies in Israel that I could think of for help, I sent out an email to the One Israel Fund to ask them for help. Within an hour, I had a response on the email, and within 2 or 3 days, we had Mark on Susia with our commander to see firsthand what our needs are and to give us equipment and technical advice how we can improve our first response team. One Israel Fund does more than save lives. They give us the ability to prevent the tragedy from ever happening. And that's the greatest thing about the One Israel Fund.
We do a lot of walking, we end up sweating a lot, we end up getting very tired, and having a shluker right here, easy access for the water.
To shluk is to sip, and that's the name shlukers. They don't have to put down their knapsacks to take the water out. It's just one thing to make their lives a little simpler and much more comfortable.
Oh wow, that's great. There.
Well, thank you for coming here. And let's make a talk for Israel, for us, Amen. And for צה"ל, לחיים. לחיים.
מכירים את זה? Okay. This is the shluker, the water pack. It is made in Israel by Jews. Holds 3 liters of water, which usually these guys carry canteens if they don't have a shluker, which means that they only carry 2. Makes a big difference. You give to each guy, yours going to be shlichei mitzvah, right? You know, sometimes you get $1 before you come to the country, so now you're getting a shluker.
It was a truly meaningful experience being able to meet guys who are of our age and very, very close to our age. They're going out every day, constantly having to live with their finger on the trigger, always having to go out, be ready to fight at any moment.
They're here, they're fighting for our country, and they're showing that, you know, this is ours and we need to protect it.
It makes us feel good to show them what we do, how important their donation is, and how important it is to know that we're not just protecting Israel, we're protecting all of Judaism, all the Jews, and it makes a closer connection with the Jews here and the Jews in diaspora.
Showing these soldiers that we appreciate everything they do in defending our homeland and making us have a homeland is the least that we can possibly do for them.
It really didn't just influence the soldiers, but it also influenced the students as well that helped.
Thank you, One Israel Fund, for making this happen, for the donation, the great donation.
Thank you, One Israel Fund! Oh, יפה.
Can I tell you a bit about Daniel? He was the middle child in our family, and he was the center of our family. And he just was this charismatic, beautiful, intelligent, happy. You know, I don't know, does everybody think their kid is like that? He was very, very musical. When Daniel played, you heard his soul playing. Daniel was 24. He was beginning his 5th year in the army, and he was called out on an operation to arrest wanted terrorists in the middle of Shechem, Nablus. And they were hidden inside a university student housing building. And the guys came running out of the building, shooting in all directions. So Daniel stood up from where he was to shoot. And he got a bullet right under his arm, just above where the ceramic vest didn't cover. And he was killed fairly instantly. Bad things happen. And you choose. You can either go down, or you can use your pain to go forward. And we decided that we were going to take our pain and we were going to do good things with it. Across the street from our house was a vacant lot. His friends designed a park that's not just a park and not just a path, but it's musical. The path is piano keys. We started planning this park 4.5 years ago. If I lived in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, I could probably go to the Jewish agency and I could say, I want to build a park in my son's memory, and they would help me. But not in Yehuda and Shomron. And so I'm stuck. It's so emotionally hard to talk about Daniel and to try and raise funds. And that One Israel Fund said that you in Yehuda and Shomron, you in Alon Shvut in Gush Etzion, we're going to help you, even though the Jewish Agency and Karen Kayemet won. It's just like a lifesaver. It's just amazing. They're the only organization I know that is willing to do this. And I'm very, very grateful.
Do you think your kids are going to stay in Yeshiva?
You should ask me if my kids will stay in Israel. I don't see any difference between Yesha and the other parts of Israel.
We're very determined, and we see so many of our kids wanting to come and continue to live here or in another hilltop.
Biblically, historically, it's always been the cradle of the Jewish people.
All the colors of Israel you can find in the settlements.
You visit Tikal, you visit these towns, they're not these Moshavim, they're normal people, they're just like you.
We have to behave like a nation.
Achdut, unity. That's our strength.
Israel needs to exist, and it needs to be strong. And that's what history has told us.
And the name One Israel Fund is talking about unity, the unity of the Jewish people and the unity of the Jewish people with the land of Israel. And what you're doing is so wonderful, and we so appreciate it, and we know that you're with us. We will never give up.